Shootin' the Shiznit is exclusively sponsored this month by spunklube.com. Spunk Lube is an award-winning personal lubricant that's fun. Spunk Lube is available in 4 varieties: hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. The newest addition to the Spunk Lube family is Spunk Lube Pink. The pink formula is colorful and fun to use. It's a special hybrid formula that's non-sticky and non-staining. All of their products are shipped in discreet packaging from D Enterprises. Please go to spunklube.com and order a unique, fun-to-use personal lubricant.
Have you listened to episode 59? Kentucky Fried Wrestling's Scott Bowden. Here's a clip. Go to all the archives at www.stspod.club.
I was in town. I inducted Jim Cornette into the manager.
Right.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
And that was such a huge deal, and very special to me because I've grown to get to know Jimmy, and obviously I blatantly ripped him off when I was working in Memphis. Lawler's just he's a good guy, but he kind of. He kind of works me sometimes, you know. He's answer phone like, Scott Bowden, jeez.
Right. Yeah. Lawler's, I don't know. Best way to say it. Kind of still that old school mentality where he's trying to, protect his spot. Where if he recommends you and you really screw up, then he don't want his name associated. Because I know friends that went to the WWE and worked there and knew Lawler and worked for Lawler, and he just never would just reach out and give him a high recommendation.
Well, I think the deal is, Kevin tried to explain, his son Kevin tried to explain to me that he wants it to be his idea. I don't think he liked it that I'd already applied and sent it off.
Right. You didn't say something to him afterwards. Yeah, that's possibly it.
Yeah, but I did get a thing back. My application and everything. It was sent back to me about 6 months later, and it had all my USW. Not too many people have very long.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
It's time again for the Super Summer Sizzler Shiznit giveaway. All you have to do to win is, retweet. That's right. 3 winners from July the 5th to July 31st will be picked, and all you have to do is retweet an episode during that time. 3 winners picked for 3 lunchboxes. You can choose between a WWE Championship belt, the Balor Club lunchbox, or Booty O's lunchbox. Each lunchbox will have a nano metal WWE action figure, a Dr. X replica mask, and a bottle of Spunk Lube from our sponsor this month. I will draw 3 winners on August the 1st. First place will get to choose which lunchbox that they want and see what extra prize is in the lunchbox. One person will not get anything in the extra in the lunchbox. One person will get a coupon for an exclusive all-in Shootin' the Shiznit t-shirt. And one winner, or I guess you can call him a loser, will get a "How Are You Doing" t-shirt. That's right. So all you gotta do, brother, is retweet.
Stop right there. Not only do we have a contest for the month of July, but I, Lance Levine, also known as Lance LeSwine, will be hosting all of the episodes of the flagship show, Shootin' the Shiznit. That is right. I am kicking BT to the curb for the month of July. So now, on with the show. Did I do that? I did that better than BT, right? I definitely did. And I love my mama, too. All right, so we have taken over Shootin' the Shiznit. So this is Lance coming from, the Dinty Moore Beach Studios in Chicago, and we've taken over shooting the Shiznit. So for my first guest, I couldn't think of anybody better than the lovely Reality of Wrestling Diamonds champion, and her name is Hyan. So welcome to the show, Hyan.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch you progress. First off, before I get into some questions, how's your neck?
It's actually a lot better.
So what happened? Somebody dropped you on your head pretty recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, I took a DDT from hell.
Yeah.
But I've recovered nicely.
Yeah. So I had said, I think I made some joke on your Twitter about Hyanamania, and so you switched your Twitter to that for a while, and then you switched it to Zombie. What is it now? Zombie Hyan?
Yeah, I'm from the undead now.
Right, and so that's because you got your neck broken, right?
Well, because not broken, but
not broken, yeah.
Yeah, I took a nasty DDT, and I had posted it on social media, and people were calling me to see if I was okay, and I was like, it's not that serious.
Right.
My mom saw it, and my mom called me. She's like, "Oh my God, is your neck okay?"
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's fine, but it looked pretty brutal. So
yeah, it did. It did. It looked like a great bump. Was it? It was just one of those shit happens type things in the ring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad you're recovered from the quote unquote neck injury. So I've seen you in a bunch of different places. I've seen you in Shimmer here in Chicago. I've seen you at Rise in Chicago. A couple matches that stand out: the Soraya night match. And then my favorite thing that I've seen of you was the Kylie Ray match where you won the title at Ladies Night Out. And that was in February, right?
Correct, yeah.
So that had to be, I'm guessing, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that had to be one of your favorite matches.
Yes, that is probably the favorite match. It was a very emotional match.
And I just thought the chemistry, which, by the way, Kylie Ray is probably going to be on the show in a couple weeks too. So the chemistry in that match, you and her had such a great chemistry, and the heat in that building that night was just outstanding. So it was so much fun to watch that. So, but going back to the beginning, everybody's always going to ask you in every interview, it's going to be like, how did you start? Where did you start? So how did you know that you wanted to be a wrestler? Where did it start for you? At 6 years old? When did you start getting into it?
I started watching it when I was maybe 6. Or 7, and my family is just really huge wrestling fans, so that was just kind of what we did, was watch wrestling together. And anytime they'd come into Houston, I'd always be, I was always at the live shows, and it was just something that I always wanted to do. I was a huge fan. I never missed a Raw or a SmackDown, and I just always wanted to be a wrestler. I got made fun of for it, actually, in high school or in elementary school for it.
Mm-hmm. So where did you start out? Did you start out down there at Booker T School?
I did, actually. I was in college, and I went to one of the Reality of Wrestling shows, and Booker was there, and he was doing a meet and greet after the show. And so I went up to him, and I was like, how do I do this? And he can sign up for my school. So I was in a sorority at the time, so I quit my sorority and started training. So
what's come the most naturally for you? You've been doing it for what, about 4 or 5 years now?
4 years, yeah.
4 years, yeah. Because you always mention that. Now that you're a heel, you always mention that in your promos, that you've been doing this for 4 years, and these new girls can't, just come in and get title shots. So anyway, see, I've been doing my homework. What has come naturally for you? What is the easiest thing that in all the learning that you've done in school? What's come the easiest to you?
Honestly, learning the moves, that has been the easiest for me, I guess, in regards to wrestling. If someone can just break down a move for me, I can learn it fairly quickly. But as people will tell you, it's not about the moves,
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, like watching your style, you're more mat based. I don't see you as the doing the dives from the top turnbuckle to the floor and doing all that crazy shit that they do in Japan. So, I mean, is that the style that you want to stick with, or are you ever looking to change things up a little bit?
I'd love to change things up. Right now, it's funny that you mentioned that. Actually, in the ladies' night out match that I had with Kylie, I had actually hyperextended my knee like the week before. So in that match, I had like 2 knee braces on top of like my knee pad to get through the match. And it's been probably within the last month or so that I'd say like my knee has finally been like healed. So now I feel more comfortable doing some more crazier things. Back when I was training and, going through all that stuff, like I never thought that I would get hurt. I know it sounds like crazy, but like I was like, oh yeah, and like I'll never get hurt. And now when people are like, oh, let's do this move or let's do that, and I'm like, oh, I might get hurt,
Yeah. So conversely, what's been the most challenging for you? Because I mean, wrestling is like, some people assume that you just do the in-ring stuff, but there's promos and there's character development and there's all different other types of stuff. What have you found to be the most challenging? What do you struggle with?
Honestly, the character development for me is really hard. And I don't feel like I've actually fully gotten it together yet. When I started training in like the first 3 years of me wrestling at all, I've always been a good guy, and that never really got me anywhere because it just didn't feel genuine in the ring.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the fans could tell. It hasn't been until like probably within the last 8 or 9 months that I did a heel turn with Reality of Wrestling, and then I just have been working heel consistently everywhere else, and that's what's been, where I guess I've shined, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And that's felt more comfortable for me. So going from like a good guy for like 3 years to, I guess, a bad guy now, still like in the works of trying to get everything that I want to get across in regards to character development and stuff. And I'm also like really indecisive as a person. I kind of want to go in this direction, then I change my mind, and I'm like, I want to go do this. I keep changing my mind, and you like just stick with something.
Right. So you'd say you're a natural heel then?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. The baby face thing felt more forced for you.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was not a fun time for me.
I don't know. I think the first time I saw you in Chicago, I don't remember if it was Rise or Shimmer, but you were jobbing for whoever, and you were a face. You were up against a heel. And come to think of it, it was pretty laid back and pretty low key. And then the next time you came back, you were a heel, and it was definitely, you could tell, as a fan, you could tell that you were definitely having more fun with it for sure, because you were smarting off to the fans and stuff and giving the baby face crap, so you could definitely tell from the audience that you were definitely having more fun with it.
Yeah, heel's more fun.
So how many promotions have you worked for in such a short amount of time, 4 years? How many different groups have you worked for?
Oh, God, a lot.
Two dozen?
I can't give you. It's so many. Just in Texas alone, there's so many. So it's just like honestly, I wish I could give you a number, but I really can't. There's like a lot. It's a lot. I think like at least 30. Wow,
that's incredible in such a short amount of time. That's awesome. So that being said, I know it says it on your Twitter that you work for Geico, and so it's sort of out of place in a weird way. So I picture you, and we haven't talked about this, so I picture you're like 9 to 5 doing some kind of office job in a cubicle, and then on nights and weekends you're wrestling. Is that sort of accurate?
That's like 100% accurate. Have people and everything.
So are you the one who answers the phone when like Shawn Michaels calls and fakes a broken neck and he wants to sue Lloyd's of London, and you're the one verifying these claims, or what do you do?
Yeah, actually, that is exactly what I do.
Oh my God.
Right now I'm kind of I do like an intern. I'm like the intern coordinator for the summer. So I'm working with college students right now. But when I finish the summer, I'll be handling more serious claims. So like thefts and lawsuits and stuff like that will kind of be what I'll be handling, and there's a lot that goes into claims, so that's kind of where my specialty is at. And yeah, I'm just like in my little cubicle answering phone calls and working claims, I guess you could say.
So in the cubicle, I was going to say, yeah, it's a little bit different than being in the ring. So when you're in the cubicle, I mean, I don't know, there's dozens and dozens of people around you. I mean, are you kind of a celebrity at work? Or do they have no idea?
Oh, no, they definitely know. When I did my little Raw segment with Naya, they were doing, the office was doing like a watch party.
Oh, geez.
Wow, yeah, so they all know about it, like our regional or our assistant vice president in the office. She's like the senior officer in our office. She's a huge fan, and so she supports it, so it's a lot of fun.
That's very cool. Very cool. How long do you think that you can stay with both? I mean, do you foresee a day when you're going to have to say, you know what, Geico, I just got offered a full-time gig at, I don't know, TNA. I got to go. Do you see that happening, or you think you can continue to split time for a long time?
I want to try to continue to split my time as much as possible. As much as I want to live off of wrestling and do that full time, it's still very difficult to do unless you do have a full-time contract. But they always like to ask me, because we do like our performance reviews or whatever, and they're like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, WWE. They're like, no, we mean like here.
Yeah.
And they ask me, what would happen if you got a contract? And I was like, you guys, no. Like, I can't. This is my dream.
Right.
They're like, so they understand.
Yeah. It sounds like you got a very realistic, mindset about it. If it happens, fantastic. That would be your dream. But if it doesn't, I've got this. How long have you been with Geico?
I've been there for 2.5 years.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you've got something to fall back on, if wrestling all of a sudden doesn't pan out for you. So it seems like you got a real good realistic view of it. So, so I'll scratch off that where do you see yourself in 5 years question. I'll scratch that off. Who is your favorite person to work with? I know you work with a lot of the girls that started out down there. Who are your favorites?
Kylie Ray, for sure. She's my favorite. She's so much fun to work with, and she's really creative. And we've trained together, obviously, so we just know each other's strengths and stuff, so we play off of that really well. As well as Lainey Luck. She's up in Chicago up there now too. And she's also really creative, and it's just like super, super fun to put a match together with. And it's super easy, and we just always end up having a blast like the entire time.
So if you have favorites, you must have least favorites to work with other than Nia Jax.
Yeah, I have my least favorites for sure.
Is that something that's going to make the airwaves, or is that something you need to keep close to the vest?
Probably something I should keep close to the vest.
Respect that for sure, because you got to work with them again, so I'll let you slide on that one. So what are you a fan of in terms of wrestling today? It would be easy for me to say, oh, you're in Texas, so you must be a fan of Lucha Libre. But, I mean, with all the exposure that we have to product these days between Japan and Lucha and stuff, what do you like? What do you watch when you're just sitting back and you actually have 10 minutes to watch wrestling?
I love the Japanese style, and I love the, British style of,
nice
chain wrestling. But, I don't chain wrestle, but I just, watch it because it's, and I appreciate it because it's not something that I'm particularly good at, so I can appreciate it.
Right.
And I love the Japanese style. That's probably, my favorite.
Very cool. So listeners of this show are going to appreciate that comment for sure, because we all love the New Japan stuff. So anyway, we're coming up on a commercial break, so give us a few seconds. We'll be right back with more Hyan.
Shootin' the Shiznit is exclusively sponsored this month by SpunkLube.com. SpunkLube is an award-winning personal lubricant that's fun. SpunkLube is available in 4 varieties: hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. The newest addition to the SpunkLube family is SpunkLube Pink. The pink formula is colorful and fun to use. It's a special hybrid formula that's non-sticky and non-staining. All of their products are shipped in discreet packaging from D Enterprises. Please go to spunklube.com and order a unique, fun-to-use personal lubricant.
All right, we are back with the lovely Diamonds champion from Reality of Wrestling, Hyan. And before we left for the commercial, you were talking about some of the stuff that you like watching. How about specific performers? Who are some of your favorites to watch? Male, female, whatever.
Oh, God.
Today, because I know I've heard you say Shawn Michaels, who happens to be my all-time favorite as well. I think you said Shawn Michaels. You had some zombie, pardon the expression, interviewing you before, and you said Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, and somebody else who I can't remember.
I'm a huge fan of Chris Jericho. Like, I love Chris Jericho.
Nice.
Like, Chris Jericho's the man.
Yep. It's scary how much we have the same taste, because he's one of my all-time favorites as well. The way he reinvents himself, the stuff did you see the New Japan stuff he's done this year?
Yes, that's what I'm
fantastic.
talking about. Like, I don't know anybody that can just I just love that he just goes from WWE to the Indies too. Like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, the fact that he wields enough power to be able to do that in this day and age. So,
right.
So how about today? I don't know if it's Lucha Underground that really started. I really can't remember who started the intergender stuff more so, but intergender seems like it's becoming a little bit more accepted gradually. Who? As far as guys in the business, and I mean, I don't know that many of the guys in Reality of Wrestling, but which guys would you see yourself having good chemistry with in the ring, other than Chris Jericho?
Honestly, though, okay, so there's this guy in Reality of Wrestling. His name is Rex Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
He is amazing, like amazing wrestler. And his style is so much more different than mine. He's more like technical wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
His gimmick is the tactician or whatever. And he's one of the trainers at Reality of Wrestling, and he's just so good. Like, he's just so good. I would just love to have a match with him because his style is so different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we would have a good match.
Styles make matches, as they say. So you mentioned WWE before. This is something that I've brought up before on various shows that we've done, but do you see them ever being able to pull off an all women's pay-per-view, sort of like a ladies' night out type thing? They have such a big roster now.
I feel like they definitely can. They've done the Mae Young Classic, which is, you know, close to a women's pay-per-view. It's on, but it's on the network only. But I feel like it could definitely get pulled off. I think that Asuka and Charlotte had like the match of the night of this past WrestleMania, and I don't think they cut it. I mean, the girls that they have, they're super crazy talented and are putting on, A1 matches. Alexa Bliss is like amazing.
Yeah. Another one of our favorites on the show. Mainly for her, I mean, she can hold her own in the ring for sure, but I think it's the character, like you mentioned before about character development. For me, she just came out of left field with how strong she is as that character and how well she pulls it off on interviews, and her mic skills are just amazing. So
Alexa, yeah, I know. Yeah. I feel like she just came out of nowhere. She's a hidden gem that like nobody noticed until, she got to the main roster.
What?
So you had mentioned the Mae Young Classic a little bit earlier. Give me some thoughts on that. Have they reached out to you? Have you reached out to them? Would it be something you would be interested in?
I mean, yeah, definitely something I would be interested in. I know last year in February, I had a tryout, and, there was some talk about the Mae Young then, but obviously it didn't happen. So, hopefully down the line, that'll be something that I can kind of delve into as well.
Yeah, it seems like a good stepping stone for sure. For even the people that didn't sign with WWE right away, it seemed like a good stepping stone to make an even bigger name on the indies for you. So, but yeah. I mean, if you were dealing with it in February of last year, then that was only like 2 years into your career or so. So that's pretty cool that you were that far into it already enough that, there was some contact there. So very cool.
Yeah.
I had heard that they weren't bringing in any of the same competitors this time. I've heard different stories. I've heard conflicting stories. So that they were going to bring some of the girls back or go with all brand new ones altogether. So depends. I mean, if they bring in all new ones all together, then I'm sure you're going to get a shot at one of these. If they do it annually, you're going to be in there at some point, I'm sure. So earlier you referenced the infamous Nia Jax match. So we had to go to there, and we had to talk about that. So that was your first national TV?
Yeah.
Nervous as hell?
Actually, I wasn't nervous at all.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly. To be honest, reality of wrestling runs very, very similarly to WWE. In the ways that we kind of run things backstage. So it wasn't necessarily like a shock to me or anything like that. It just kind of felt like a normal day at reality of wrestling, which Booker does a really good job of mimicking that environment. So it really was just, it wasn't until afterwards I was like, holy crap, this is what just happened. But
right.
leading up to it, I wasn't really nervous because I kind of knew what I was doing. It wasn't like I really had to remember any offense or anything like that. So
was there any offense? I don't remember any offense.
No, there wasn't any offense. So it wasn't like I had to remember anything.
Right, exactly. Just go in there and get destroyed. Who was more of a veteran at that point, you or her? Because I don't think she's even been around for that long.
Actually, I'm not sure. I know, like, I had to do like a promo before the match, and she told me like, "Oh, you got a promo before I did on Raw," and I was like, "Really?" So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, my opinion is you should have gotten more promos before her on Raw, but that's a whole other story. We're not going to go there. So it had to be like a thrill to be there. What city was it in? Was it in Houston?
Yeah, it was in Houston. It was in Toyota Center.
Okay, very cool. Biggest crowd you'd worked before?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that had to be really cool. So were you, I mean, I know obviously we're joking. It was a squash and everything, but were you, did you have to kind of lead the match cause she seems like, she's still progressing in her skills as well. So it would seem like you guys were kind of both at about the same skill set at that point.
Well, WWE has agents that kind of put the matches together before the show. So I think it was Finn Finley that put together the match. He was just like, "Yep, you guys do this, this, and this," and we're like, "Okay," and we just went out and did it. So there wasn't like really necessarily kind of like any leading or anything like that,
right?
Because I mean, it's not like we had any real input in the match,
right. So did you find like, explosion of social media follows after that? Was that a huge deal?
Yeah, I think the next day I got like 1,000 followers on like Instagram and Twitter. It was crazy. Yeah. I was like, how do all these people know who I am?
Right.
How do they find me?
Yeah.
But it was crazy.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So speaking of social media, one of the questions I was going to ask is, there are, as a female in wrestling, you're opened up to a lot of freaking bizarre, weird dudes on Twitter and on every social media you can think of. So, I mean, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with the fact that, so many nut jobs are out there that have such direct access in this day and age of social media? Like, people have so much access to celebrities. How do you deal with the really weird ones?
There's this really cool feature called the block feature. So if I get one, it just really just takes one kind of extreme message. You're gonna get blocked instantly. And sometimes people don't get it and just continue to message me. And if you continue to message me and there's no response, you're just gonna get blocked too.
So there's low threshold of tolerance.
I'm really savage with the block button.
Yeah. Good. I mean, It's interesting because I first started going to Shimmer about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and one of my best friends from out of town would always come in for the shows, and I just, so busy and work and everything else, I never got around to it. And I know they've been around for years, and I finally started going, and it's so much fun. I mean, from a fan standpoint, and somebody like me who's been watching wrestling for like 30 years, it's just a completely different environment. And it's like, I don't know, those guys that go to those shows are different. It's not like, the complete, like when I would tell like people at work that I was going to an all women's wrestling show, like the natural assumption is that, it's a bunch of perverts just watching girls wrestle. And it's not really like that. It's a lot more respectful than I would expect it to be.
Yeah, it actually really, I mean, if you're going to sit there for like literally a whole day worth of wrestling, I feel like you actually need an actual wrestling fan to be able to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. Could you see yourself working for them full time? Not full time, because they only tape like twice a year. But could you see doing it as a regular, like becoming like a Nicole Savoy or a Nicole Matthews?
Oh shoot, I'd love to.
Mm-hmm.
I would really love to.
Yeah. Are you doing the Rise shows that they have coming up?
I am. I do Rise for the next show. I know they have one in July. I'm not on that one, I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I am part of the Rise roster, so I'll be making a few more trips up to Chicago, hopefully.
And freelance too.
And freelance, yes, freelance underground. I'll be there in October.
Oh, awesome. So are they, you're doing underground? Because they do like 2 sets of shows. I've actually never been to the underground shows, but the regular shows, they've started bringing in some of the girls. They've had Shotzi. They've had Kylie Ray at a couple of them now, and she does such a great job with GPA. I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff with the two of them, but their chemistry is outstanding too.
Follow it.
So that'll be cool coming up to Chicago in October. So I'll look forward to that for sure. So we were talking about you got to see snow and you got to get pizza. Those are the 2 things that I know from your past in Chicago. So the Giordano's pizza is what you got to come for.
Yeah, I had it. I went there the first time I went there. I had their pizza. It's freaking amazing.
So we got to have Giordano's sponsor the show from the Giordano Studios in Chicago. We'll have to do that next time. So we were talking about the crazy ass guys on social media, and that, back in the day, like Brian and I have been watching wrestling since we were little kids, and this is going back decades. And the boys always used to have horrible reputations. So it came to my thought process in talking to you: who's worse, the goofballs on social media or some of the boys in the locker room?
Honestly, I think it's the fans that can get a little crazy sometimes, more so than the boys, because we are, for the most part, very professional. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, if you go to a show, there's only one women's match. There's only 2 girls, and
right.
Dudes. The girls have their own locker room. You know what I mean? We all have to share one, and there's everyone.
Awkward.
I've never had an instance of people not being professional at a show.
Well, that's good.
Everyone's super professional, so
yeah, I think some of the stories from wrestling lore would probably disagree with that. So it's good to see that it's gotten a little bit better in the 2018 era of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So,
or maybe guys are just more, more respectful.
Well, and not only that, but I think that, again, the other side of the coin with social media is if guys act like assholes in the locker room to somebody like you or one of the females, it's going to get out. The story's going to get out because everything is public these days. If it's not somebody with their cell phone recording stuff in the locker room, it's going to be, the story is just going to get out. So I think people realize that they got to watch themselves nowadays. So it's the other, probably one of the benefits of social media these days is accountability. So,
very good.
Have you had to deal with any? You said most of the people have been respectful. Have you had? I'm not asking you to name any names or anything, but have you had any uncomfortable situations?
Actually, no, not really. I can't. Nothing comes to mind in particular. At least down here in Texas, for the most part, everyone, there's no drama or anything like that. So everyone's everyone's really friendly and like really respectful with each other. I've never had a situation where the boys are being disrespectful. If anything, I've had situations where the fans will kind of get a little bit out of line.
Right.
At first, and it's, you know, the guys that will step up and kind of be like, hey, man, you need to chill and kind of take control of the situation and have my back. So I really appreciate them.
So it's more like a big brother type relationship.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Looking out for the girls. That chivalry is not dead, so that's a good thing. So a couple more things before we wrap up. The first bit of merch that I bought from you, do you remember what it was?
Shirt.
The what shirt?
The Hyan shirt.
I mean, what's on the shirt? Why do I not want to wear that shirt in public?
Oh, because it's so girly. It's a little in the name.
It's the kiss. It's the lips. So
Don't hate on it, okay? Don't hate on the shirt.
I'm not hating on the shirt. I bought the shirt. I need to support my local, my indie wrestlers, so I bought the shirt. I wanted to support, but I can't wear that shirt out. It's a white T-shirt, fans. It's a white T-shirt with pink lips on it, like kissing, and with your name like in the middle or whatever. So I do wear it to sleep, so I will say that, and I'll wear it like the dog. The dog likes it. So, so you need more merch. You need some other stuff. What's in the pipeline? How do you come up with things like merch ideas?
I do a lot of pictures. That's kind of like the thing. But honestly, I'm just awful at I lack complete and total creativity when it comes to these things. So I don't know. I want to come up with a new T-shirt design. I really do, because I'm actually all out of those T-shirts.
Yeah.
But
good. We'll come up with some visuals for you.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I think of Daryl Takahashi, the stuffed animal, and now I see this, one of the guys on Lucha Underground has a doll, like this twisted doll that he comes out with. I'm sure Rosemary's got tons of shit. So we got to come up with some ideas for some cool stuff for you too. So
I think I can get on Thunder Rosa's level. That girl has merch like out the wazoo.
Yeah. Don't you have, there's a faction, and I haven't seen much of it. There's a faction that you're part of, Latina something or other, right?
Yeah, Latina's taking over.
Right, so LTO. So there's LTO shirts, right?
Yes, there is.
There you go. So I would play that up. Who else is in there with you?
It's me, Erica Torres, she's out of Oklahoma, and Miranda, my fellow reality of wrestling training person. And she was in the mail too. So we're all in that group together.
Yeah. So did you guys come up here together for the last set of shows? Because she was at the last Shimmer. You were at the last Shimmer.
Yeah. She was actually there the day before. I think she got there the day of the Rise show. I had gotten there the day before.
Gotcha.
She was doing Cindy Zello as well.
Uh-huh.
She stayed up a little bit longer than I did.
So, well, I would say we'll work with that faction, the LTO, and we'll work with that as far as coming out with some new merch for you, some ideas. We'll come up with like dolls or something. There's got to be something. If they can get friggin' Daryl Takahashi over in Japan, we can get something over for you too. We'll come up with like shot glasses or lighters or something. So anyway, running low on time. So
is actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, shot glass, yeah, exactly, because guys are into drinking and guys are into wrestling. So anyway, so wrapping it up, what's the dream? Where do you see yourself? We joked about the 5 years from now, but would it be Stardom? Would it be WWE? Would it be Geico?
I hope, WWE is always going to be the ultimate dream, but it's not the end all be all for me, honestly. If I can somehow make a living off of this thing and do it full time, that's all that matters to me.
Very cool. Very cool. So what's upcoming for you? What do you got coming up on shows?
We have Reality of Wrestling coming up in July. So we run the second Saturday of the month. I think our show is on the 14th. Yep. We have Summer Champions, which is our biggest show of the year, in August. And that should be August 11th. And then we have Ladies Night Out 3, where I face Jordan Grace for the Reality of Wrestling Diamonds Championship, August 18th. And then I also have Queens of Combat, July 27th and then the 28th in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that'd be really
awesome. Awesome. Very cool. And lastly, where can people find you on social media? Where can these freaks that are listening to this find you and harass you on social media so you can block them?
On Instagram, it's the Hyan, so THEHYAN, and Twitter is _ the Hyan, so same thing, THEHYAN.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on tonight with us. This has been so much fun. It's been so great to learn more about you. So thanks so much for being on Shooting the Shiznit Hyan, and we will see you in the fall in Chicago. So thanks, fans, for listening. And hopefully you'll have that belt still when you come back to Chicago. So thanks so much to you. Thanks, fans, for listening. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, remember to join us, same bad time, same bad channel, on the best of the wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. Love my mama. Hope y'all enjoyed that episode, and as always, we're looking for contestants on Who Wants to Be the Best Shiznitter Ever. We also have t-shirts at wehavemerch.com. That's wehavemerch.com. $12.99, starting at $12.99, sizes all the way up to 6XL. Shooting the Shiznit exclusively sponsored this month by spunklube.com. That's spunklube.com. Spunk Lube is an award-winning personal lubricant that's fun. Spunk Lube is available in 4 varieties: hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. You can reach me at comicbookmarkbt on Twitter, BT Shooting the Shiznit on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. You can talk to us, me and Lance and everyone at Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. We also have a Shooting the Shiznit Facebook group. All the archives are at www.stspod.club. You can listen to this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Podcast Addict, Spreaker, and other fine podcast players. I want to give a big shout out to my podcast bros, Suplex City Limits, Creative Control, Who's Right Podcasts, and P3 Radio. Also a big shout out to WrestlingNewsCenter.com, LocalsToLegends.com with Gene Jackson, who also has his podcast, and my old buddy Bob McGee at ProWrestlersBetweenTheSheets.com. If you like this episode and would like to donate to the show, then send $5 to PayPal at Brian_Trammell, Tramel, at yahoo.com. Join us next week.
You can't fight the friction.